Mike Fisher here, and the great Jane Slater, who we've been friends for a decade now, right?
You know, some of my best shows at 105.3 The Fan were when you would come in and co-host with us. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. We had a great podcast on the Boys and Girls podcast
We
the
did.
other day.
Yeah, I'm not shocked that we think that both of us are great. That's not shocking at all. Jane Slater, of course, on the NFL Network, covering the Cowboys and much, much more. Are you going to Philadelphia?
I am.
Beautiful.
I leave early on Saturday morning.
All right, we'll bundle up. Although the weather's not going to be nasty.
About the same.
The Cowboys did practice outside basically all week to simulate not so much the temperature, but more the grass. Let's go through what's probably the number one storyline, maybe in the whole NFL, Jane. Dak Prescott, your thoughts on where we're going there with the shoulder?
I'm looking at two things. One, I thought it was interesting that he pointed out at Mississippi State that he had dealt with this almost every other week because he's constantly on the run, and he described this injury as the pain being annoying, that he's dealt with worse pain in the past, that this was an injury that he knew how to manage. I think why it raised so many alarms is he's been so resilient, he's been so tough. Unlike Carson Wentz, this is a guy who's never missed an NFL start. He's never been limited in practice, but there he was at practice today, throwing with the right shoulder, and I think we can anticipate that he's going to probably go through another practice like that, and then I'm anticipating he'll be out there very early going through the walkthroughs and the warm-up on Sunday in Philadelphia.
And I'm sure you agree with me, the Friday was soft toss.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of shot putting it a little bit and
but
7
he was
yards.
competing in the full-on jumping
He
jacks,
did do
which,
a jumping
as
jack.
ridiculous as that tweet that I sent out, I thought it was interesting because that showed you've got to have sort of a range of motion.
And Thursday, he didn't. He
Yeah.
didn't lift that arm. Saturday, they'll be their normal walkthrough, but I bet you he throws a little more,
Oh, yeah.
trying to ramp up. And then, Jane, I agree with you. You and I will both be there early at the link, seeing what he does. I bet you he's the first guy on the field
100%.
to go get stuff done. Then we've got coaching issues. Jason Garrett is 7-2 in games at Philadelphia. That's a feather in his cap. He could use another one.
Well, and I think it's interesting, too, when you talk to these players. Again, I continue to beat the drum on this. I think the reason why Jason's remained in Dallas despite some of these mediocre outcomes in the season, he's only had one losing season. He hasn't done much in the postseason. The players love him. I had Orlando Scandrick on our podcast the other day, and Orlando's a vocal guy. He doesn't have to say anything good about Jason now that he's left the building, but he said that he was like a father figure, you know, and that's when you talk to the players, they'll tell you that. And then I thought the interesting perspective I've gotten this year was from Randall Cobb, a veteran who had been in Green Bay before this. He talked about how he just stays so steady, that he doesn't change the way they do things.
And it's sincere.
Right.
It's not fake.
Right, it's not fake.
Yeah.
And he says he thinks because he's not reactive and that he keeps it steady, that it helps this team move on. He said, as a matter of fact, he said, he hasn't put us on this emotional roller coaster.
Right.
And I think that's huge because I think there are some coaches that are reactive, not only when their job's on the line, but so is their postseason.
Yeah. Jerry likes to talk about the most important ability is availability. But in the case of Jason Garrett, likability is nice. Winnability is what's going to really matter in the end. And then finally, let's get to the actual game. The big computer says the Cowboys have a 68% chance of winning. The odds makers say 2.5-point favorite, the Cowboys. What does Jane Slater say?
You know, it's for me, I would be shocked if the Cowboys don't pull this out, just when you look at the nature of the injuries to Green Bay, and then you look at, at Green Bay, right, Eagles,
yeah.
And when you look at just the playmakers that they have available, I mean, we're talking at wide receiver Greg Moore Jr., we're talking at running back Miles Sanders, and then you look, while their run defense is third in the league in terms of yards allowed, and I think that's they're going to be forced to run the ball this week. The Cowboys are 5-0 against the Eagles when Ezekiel Elliott's on the field. And then, oh, by the way, they've got Tony Pollard, which interesting conversation with Zeke this week. He said he felt like an old man last year. In fact, he said he could barely walk. He said he felt really, really bad. But he said having a guy like Tony Pollard, who, by the way, he says the game plan doesn't change when he comes off the field. He said he's got certain plays, but he says when Tony Pollard's out there, he can do everything. He's a complete back, but he says he feels fresh. And he thinks that's a good thing, even though he loves those stats. To have that lighter load is going to help him not only in this game, but hopefully in the playoffs.
I've decided to lean towards the Cowboys because I can envision that place raining down boos the first time they go 3 and out in Philadelphia, the first fumble, the first interception, the first missed tackle. So I'll lean you. I don't think we're being homers here.
No, I think they're catching a little fire right now.
And I think we're picking up on positive vibes in the building, something that was not the case over the course of Buffalo and Chicago and the rest. You've got to know Jane Slater, if you don't already, one of the very best on the Cowboys and the entire NFL. Catch Jane on NFL Network. Thank you, my friend.
Your paycheck's in the mail.
Deal.